Hello everyone, this is Katie with Homeschooling for His Kingdom. Welcome for those of you who are new. On the channel, I like to talk a lot about homeschooling ideas, tips, things that the Lord has taught me over the years. My husband and I have homeschooled for about 5 or 6 years now. So as the Holy Spirit leads me, I like to come on and make a video about whatever's on his heart. So we love the Lord very much, and I like to follow the Spirit. The last couple weeks, he's had on my mind to make a video about homeschooling on the road and some ways that he taught us how to do it fairly well, I think. And so for those of you who are looking for information on ways that might streamline the process of homeschooling on a road trip, whether it's planned or you have to make it last minute, I'm hoping that this video will help you. I'm not sure if some of you saw the last video I made, but I made mention that we used to homeschool in California and that the Lord has brought us to North Carolina. So I'll give you a little backstory on that now, hence the road trip. Okay, so I know a lot of you have been affected by COVID and the different mandates and things. We were too. My husband's boss was asking that he get the shot, the vaccine, and we weren't comfortable with what was in it. It wasn't clear to us what was in it and why they were asking for us to get it. In general, he's very healthy. You know, we take our vitamins, all of us. You know, we trust the Lord for healing. We're smart, you know, basic stuff like any cold and flu season. And I'm not saying that this is exactly the same. I'm just saying we didn't feel led to take the shot. And so when my husband's boss asked him to get it, we prayed a lot about it, but we had peace to go ahead and leave the job. And so we asked the Lord, you know, well, let me back up. He did file for a religious exemption, but we just weren't hearing back from his HR. So during that process, the Lord released us from California and from the job. He said, just move. And I remember thinking, well, Lord, like if we're supposed to just move, where are we going? Like, you can't just ask us to move, can you? I mean, show me in the Bible, wherever that has happened to someone before, you know, as though he couldn't ask me something new, right? But I always like to find it in the Bible as I don't know, like, well, if someone else was asked to do it, then I guess it's okay, or it gives me something to go on. And so right away, he said, in my spirit, I heard Abraham. And sure enough, in Hebrews, it talks about how Abraham was asked to leave a place, I think it was, and to go to a place that God would show him. And in Hebrews, it clearly says he didn't know where he was going. He just knew he had to go. So if that hits on anything for any of you right now, especially in the body of believers, who the Lord is transplanting a lot of families right now. So if the Lord is asking you to move and you're not sure where, just go with him. He'll be a light into your path and a lamp into your feet, as he was for us. So long story short, we got on the road in about 3 weeks. It was really fast. We sold our home. The Lord sold it for us quickly, of course, and he brought us here to North Carolina, and we love it so far. I mean, the people are very nice, and we are able to have a little bit more land, which is one thing that we've been looking forward to as well. We did a little homesteading back in California. We really like that, with goats and chickens and things like that. So I think what the devil meant for evil, the Lord certainly is turning around for good. So all that to say, we had a very long road trip from California to North Carolina. And to be honest, I hadn't homeschooled on the road at all. Like, we were pretty much homebodies. My husband really didn't enjoy traveling a whole lot, except in the area around us, and so within an hour or two. So I looked at the miles and I'm like, Lord, this is gonna be like a 1 to 2 week trip. I really don't want to get behind on homeschool. So he started giving me ideas. So I'm gonna let you know what we did that worked for us, and hopefully these ideas will help you if you're planning a road trip or if you're being kind of thrown into one like we were. Hopefully these ideas can help you. I'm going to throw some pictures up as well as I'm talking to kind of show you what I'm talking about. A little, picture's worth 1,000 words. So first of all, what I had on hand was a banana box. from Vons or something like that. So I used it every day. It was awesome. So what I would recommend is if you have multiple students, especially if you can get a sturdy box with handles. It's actually right behind me. I don't know if you can still kind of see it. So the handles are right here, and then you can lift it on both sides. But we have I'm teaching 3rd and 5th grade, and so, well, we have a preschooler too, but I would put the 3rd grade material on one side and the 5th grade material on the other side for daily use. So these are like their daily work pages, the stapler, everything you're going to use, just pencils, everything that you would need every day. And then that's easy to slide in and out of the van, the back of the van, or the SUV, whatever kind of car you have, the trunk. And it's sturdy, so you actually can put a suitcase on top of it, you know, because you're coming and going every day on the trip, right? Okay, so that's my first tip. Use a sturdy, sort of a low box, so that you're not going too deep for stuff, that it's pretty like a shallow box, but very sturdy for daily material that you're gonna use. And then of course you have those other manuals though, like your test keys, your quizzes, charts that you want to have available, but you don't need them every day. So the Lord showed me put these in a suitcase. And I'll put a picture of that right now. So we had basically we used what would be like a carry-on size, and so again you can put basically 2 piles of the size of books on the left and the right. And that would be where I would again put material that like once a week I might go in there and get an answer key or something like that, or a couple of times a week, but it wasn't every day. I didn't need it right up front in the van. And then a pen and pencil and sticky note. Like what I used was like a purse with a zipper. Hang on just a second. I thought I had it up here to show you. Here it is. Hang on just a second. Here it is. Okay. So this is what I use, like I put it right up by my purse. So, you know, the kids are always need more pencils or sharper pencils, highlighters, whatever. That had a nice zipper here. I would put paper clips in here too. And then inside, especially for the preschooler, I would have like flashcards and things like that. So, you know, scissors, basically what a kid would put in their backpack probably at a public school. This is something really awesome, and it can fit in your purse. So or just up front in the console. So I kept that nearby me for like all the little stuff so it wouldn't get lost. And then the other thing I wanted to show you was their daily work. I think I've shown this a long time ago in another video, but I have hanging files, and a lot of you guys keep your daily work probably online or in different ways, but for me this works. And in this green folder I have 2 files, one for each kiddo for the older grades. I'm just starting to have one for my preschooler. So like for instance, this one shows March because we're in March, but I put the child's name, his grade, and the month and the year. Name, grade, month, and the year. And then I just stack their work here. But since you're doing work on the road, you know, I like to keep it in that banana box. So I would every day get into these, put their new work in here, put it in the green folder, and yes, it would be ideal to hang it if you were home and you were organized. But for now, it can just sit on top of the banana box or right on top of the last folder or whatever in the banana box. So that was another thing just to keep up with your daily work, organizing it. And then of course the calendar. So if you file a private affidavit in whatever state you live in, you have to, one of the requirements usually is to keep daily records. And so I put the calendar, of course, right in there. Of course, right now I've got it hanging because we're in a house. But on the road, I just folded it, and every day I would open it back up and I would write in, you know, what lesson we did, or if we were on a field trip, you know, what we did that day for school. So those are some practical tips. But here's some more emotional tips that helped. I'm going to read just for a little bit. Have your husband drive so that you can teach the student who needs the most help. Have that student next to you. So like I would sit in the front seat of the van, and then I would usually have my 3rd grader sit right behind me because she needed more help usually. The younger grades just do, and then my preschooler would sit like kitty corner, so I could sort of reach the preschooler, and I could really reach the 3rd grader because we were passing material back and forth and highlighters and stuff like that. Also, I noticed, so my 5th grader was in the way back of the van, the 3rd seat, and I would try to shout, you know, he could barely hear me even if there was no music or anything on, but my poor husband's ears was like, whoa. And then it was so loud. So what we did was, when I needed to teach my son, the 5th grader, we would just, at a rest stop or whatever, we would have them switch out. And then, okay, now Zach, you sit behind me. We're going to talk about language or whatever it is that we need to talk about, pass material back and forth. So that works. Or I think my friend who also had to teach on the road said she would actually sit in the back seat with whatever student she needed to help, and her husband was in the front seat with like the younger kids. So that can work too. So just close proximity seemed to help a lot more. And it lowered the decibel level overall in the van. And then, okay, what if your kid gets car sick? Well, our daughter does more sometimes than others. And so what I would do is I would read her material for her. Like if she's supposed to read history or supposed to read science, anything that you can read for her that's not her actual reading assignment, go ahead and do that and just bless her, you know, on the road trip. And I would also read for my son, because sometimes, especially in the way back, he would start to feel it too. So we read bare minimum, I'll put it that way. And then on their actual reading assignments, what we did is we had them get up. I wouldn't say I woke them up early, but we just used our time wisely. So a lot of times we'd get a hotel where they had breakfast. And so as soon as the first kid is up, you know, they want to eat. So I would usually take them down to eat first, whichever kid is up. And then as soon as the rest of us got rolling, I would find that area, the office area of a hotel, or if you have a campground, just get a nice picnic table, or if you're in a camper or whatever you can do, have them read before you roll. So that seemed to work really well because it's nice and quiet, it's stable. And you could also use this for writing assignments. So if the children are younger and they're still learning how to write, so they're not, you know, hitting every bump as they're trying to write, maybe have them do reading and writing in the morning, or maybe in the evening when you get there. But honestly, by the time it's the evening, they just want to use the swimming pool and go to bed, you know. So I would recommend morning. And now we have younger kids. So if some of your kids have online assignments, of course there's Wi-Fi in most hotels, or you can get that at the campgrounds too. So sometimes I think you can even make a hotspot on your phone if it's strong enough. But again, with a car sick, you know, it just depends on what each child is like. But I would recommend doing the online in the hotel too, if that helps them, if they're typing and, you know, you don't want to hit every bump kind of a thing. So that worked out really well for us, using the office areas of the hotels. And they don't care. Usually no one's in there. Like honestly, probably 90% of the time we were the only people in there. And sometimes they even had a door, which was ideal because then we weren't hearing, you know, the news and everybody walking around, you know, having their pancakes and coffee. So, and we would be there for like an hour before my husband would be, you know, ready and packed. You know, he would do some packing and then we'd all roll out, you know. Okay. Another really fun tip that my husband thought of was to use an audio app. What was happening was I was helping my son read his book report book, and it was on a missionary, and my husband and the whole family was enjoying the book as I'm reading it, but I was getting a little car sick. And so my husband said, hey, why don't we do it? Let's see if we can buy it through an audio app. So it's let me see, I wrote it down. It's called Audible. And it's an app. We have iPhones. I'm sure you can get it on whatever kind of smartphone you have. I'm just going to read here. I don't want to mess this up. My husband, Sam says you need a subscription, and then you download books by credits. And if I went online to kind of understand it. If I understand correctly, they have 4 different types of memberships, ranging from about $15 a month and upward, just depending on how many books you want to read a month. And we rented probably 3 books on the trip. Our trip was about 10 or 12 days. And each book was about 2 or 3 hours. So that can really make the time pass nicely for you guys. Like, and the whole family enjoyed the story, right? Just get a whole family, hopefully level friendly, where the preschooler could even keep up, you know? And that will help pass some time as well. We just really enjoyed doing this. So if that helps you guys. And then the other thing, which is awesome, this is the Holy Spirit, I know this is, have your husband help teach. So like if you're, you know his strong suit. So for Sam, he loves like math is one of his strong suits. He also is intrigued with like some science stuff. And so whenever the kids were asking about a science question or a math question, I'd be like, what do you think, babe? Can you answer, you know, Zach for me? And oh boy, he just dove in, or Bible questions and stuff like that. And it's awesome because we're bonding as a family and he's really engaging. And then you can just kind of rest a minute and just soak it in. You know, you're not constantly teaching when you can include your husband, you know. If your husband likes that kind of stuff. Mine doesn't mind. So of course, you know, go with what you know is good for you guys. But and then look for fun stops along the way. This is my last tip, really. We had a good time. We found a cavern in Missouri to stop and tour, and that was really fun. And then of course we stopped at Ree Drummond's place over in Oklahoma and tasted her delicious food. I don't know if you guys know about her, but she's a wonderful chef. We stopped at the Grand Ole Opry area and we toured around there in Nashville. So whatever you think is educational, not everything, you know, eating Ree Drummond's food is probably not educational, but we had a good time, and I didn't put that down as a school day, but it made the trip fun. So whatever you can, you know, whatever you think would be, you know, look ahead if you can, you know, to make it a family bonding time. If you have time to stop too, of course. I don't know, you know, if you're under time constraints, of course that matters. But we had such a good time with these little sightseeing things that once we even got to North Carolina, we wanted to keep going. So we went to the coast and we toured Fort McCone on the coast. It has a museum there attached with history details. It's got the fort right there. We put that down for sure as a school day. We were learning about history and what the fort was about, why it was there, what it was used for. So, you know, the sky's the limit on these field trips. So, and it's right at your fingertips because you're driving. So have a good time. Some stuff costs more than others, of course, so go with your budget. But, you know, those are some fun added days that aren't always bookwork, you know, as you're driving along. So I hope these ideas have helped you and encouraged you. It's not as hard as you think it is. If you think it's hard, because I thought it was hard. I thought it would be hard. But once I got going and kind of got a rhythm of using my box and, you know, having the certain children sit behind me and working it out in the morning in the office area, there was a rhythm to it, and we actually really enjoyed it. So anyways, I hope I've encouraged you to give it a try if you need to or want to take a road trip and continue homeschooling along the way. So hope you have a great day, and if you guys have any comments or ideas that I haven't mentioned, or better things that you've thought of or experienced, please put them in the comments, because we can each learn from each other and become better homeschooling moms along the way. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.